In Louisiana, there's a major update to those death row clemency hearings we've been discussing. In Texas, a grandfather shoots his grandson in an accidental shooting during a wedding. And in Dubai, a college student is freed after a prison stint over the touching of a security guard. These stories and more coming at you today, Monday, October 9th, on Real Life Real Crime Daily, and I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Woody Overton.
And I'm Mike Agovino. It's already October 9th.
Crazy.
Oh, my God. But it's not 90 anymore.
It's already October, too.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems like...
Yeah.
And my football season's already
just
hopeless.
Finished my taxes from last year.
Right. Well, the weather was beautiful, and let's roll with some crime time for Monday, gentlemen.
All right, and we got a settlement reached regarding the clemency hearings, these death row clemency hearings for inmates in Louisiana that the Governor John Bel Edwards was pushing for. And this is great, phenomenal news as far as, you know, these clemency hearings are concerned. Nearly all of the death row inmates will no longer be eligible for clemency hearings. It comes as after a settlement was made between East Baton Rouge Parish District Attorney Hiller Moore,
great guy,
and the Louisiana Board of Pardons Committee on Parole. Governor John Bel Edwards was urging that parole board to reduce the 56 death row inmates' sentences to life in prison. Moore and other district attorneys then filed injunctions to stop the hearings from being scheduled, saying eligibility, notice, and timeless requirements were ignored. Today, the parole board agreed to follow its rules and procedures moving forward, meaning almost all of the inmates on death row will not get a clemency hearing. This is something that Moore believes is a win for the victims' families, and the district attorney said we're in the right position for the right reason, and we fully expect that we will prevail, and this is a hard fight on behalf of the victims' families. I expect they will appeal anything they can appeal, and I know we will fight everything that we need to fight with everything we have based on the law and facts. Now, the first set of inmate clemency hearings were set to start next week, but Moore said now very few will be able to file for those appeals.
Basically, it was illegal.
Yes.
And the Attorney General said it's illegal. And the governor still wanted to push it through, and the law prevails. And thank
Great
God for that, for
news.
the victims' families and everyone else who had to deal with all these horrible, horrible crimes.
Amen to that.
Y'all know I'm a ordained minister.
I did.
Did you know that?
If I get married a third time,
You're
my
your
man.
man. I'm your man. So
I'm not, honey, don't.
So this guy was an ordained minister out of Texas, and this story could easily come with banjos and fiddles for Mike to share. But a grandfather was arrested after he accidentally shot his 12-year-old grandson in the shoulder while officiating a wedding, according to the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office. Michael Gardner, really a shotgun wedding? Michael Gardner, 62, of Odessa, Texas, was set to preside over the nuptials at a hillside event in Denton, Nebraska on Saturday evening when he fired a blank round from his revolver into the air.
Oh, it was a blank. Okay.
Yeah, right? That old shitty movie I'm never going to watch. Rust, yeah. From when he fired a blank round from his revolver into the air, according to the chief deputy. Gardner was trying to gain everybody's attention after the wedding, got off to be a late start because somebody forgot the rings, the chief said.
Wait. The minister, to get the wedding going because nobody's paying attention,
right.
His move is to fire.
Bam. Yeah. So
Great.
Anyway, so the chief said that the firearm was a Pieta 1860 snub-nosed revolver, and the blank round contained black powder inside the casing with glue. When he decided to cock back the hammer of this revolver, it slipped, and it shot his grandson in the left shoulder, causing an injury. What we believe is the glue is what injured. they think the glue is what injured the child, the chief said. He added that the boy was transported to an area hospital before being taken to another hospital in Omaha for further treatment of the non-life-threatening injuries. We do have the weapon, the ammunition, and the spent casing, the chief said. The deputy also stated that Gardner turned himself in on Monday and was arrested on suspicion of felony child abuse due to the seriousness of the injuries. What the county attorney decides to charge him with is up to him, he said, adding that the crime fit the statute of child abuse. It's just kind of neglectful to take out a gun that has blanks and fire it amongst people. The chief said, playing with firearms, no matter what, even if they're blanks, bad things can certainly happen. And that is the truth. And he added, we do not believe Michael intended to hurt his grandchild, but the act was not very smart.
So he thinks what actually hit him was the glue?
So what happened, I think Bruce Lee's, the kid that did The Crow, or whatever, even blanks have powder. So you still have an explosion inside the cartridge, and it expels the
it's like a
if
stuffing.
You're close enough, yeah. And I fire a lot of blanks nowadays with training and everything else, but they hurt, and hidden in the right spot, they can kill you. Like Bruce Lee's nephew, he put the gun jokingly in his head, pulled it. Well, that little bit went through the skull and killed him.
Brandon Lee,
that's it. And he was a great actor, by the way.
Yeah.
But what the fuck? Why are you carrying a snub-nosed revolver with blanks? He must have been planning on firing.
An 1861 at that.
Right. He must have been planning on firing it off anyway, right?
Officiating.
There you go. There you have it. So.
Wow. Yeah.
I believe you're sitting
guess
in my chair.
He'll quiet the crowd down differently next time.
Well,
I'm glad the kids are
actually, every crowd I've been in, when the firearm went off, it clears the crowd. Nothing clears a room like a little gunfire.
Yeah, you got that right, Jack.
I don't know if it's me, but I hear from especially younger people a desire to go to Dubai. I guess the city sort of came out of nowhere in the last 2 decades, and it's sparkling clean and has these enormous buildings and
indoor ski mountains with snow.
Yeah, crazy,
they built
crazy
all this stuff out of the ocean, and they pumped all the sand up and built these big high rises and everything else.
Well, before you book your tickets, folks, you should listen to this story. A New York City college student who was sentenced to a year in prison for touching a Dubai airport security guard's arm has been freed after a hellish 5 months and is heading back home. Elizabeth Palanca de los Santos, a Lehman College student, is ecstatic to be returning to the U.S. after 5 months of anguish. She was aided by the advocacy group Detained in Dubai. I didn't know we needed an advocacy group called Detained in Dubai. But the 21-year-old's sentence was commuted a day after she was ordered to be jailed for the July incident in which she was accused of assaulting and insulting a female airport employee. Elizabeth boarded her flight home to New York late Tuesday night. Detained in Dubai CEO Rada Sterling said in a release, quote, the news that her sentence would be commuted was a welcome end to Elizabeth's hellish 5 months in Dubai that left her humiliated, traumatized, and out-of-pocket $50,000. The advocacy group then shared a message thread between the Bronx College student and Sterling. Los Santos confirmed to the CEO that she appeared in court and was fingerprinted during the day before she was told to meet police at the airport, where she would then retrieve her passport and board a plane bound for New York. Los Santos' months-long detainment in the UAE began in July when she embarked on a vacation to Istanbul with a friend. The pair connected through Dubai rather than Paris on their way back because they had heard so much about the city and wanted to see it. They had a 10-hour layover to explore the city. We thought it would be a more modern and futuristic city, but we were completely wrong, she told the advocacy group. While she was checked by airport security, Los Santos was asked to remove a doctor-mandated waist compression suit she needed because she had had a recent back surgery. She was brought back to a private screening room with plainclothes women who removed the compression suit but were rough. hurting her swollen wounds as they removed the compressor. This is according to Los Santos's mother. I was feeling uncomfortable and afraid. I felt really violated, Los Santos said. Los Santos then requested assistance to put the complex garment back on, but the women only laughed at her and caused her to become even more uncomfortable. Los Santos leaned over to ask her friend to come help put the brace back on, but while she was doing so, she made contact with one of the female workers. I guess she was touching her to kind of move her out of the way so her friend could get in the position she wanted her friend in. And so she described it as, I gently touched her arm to guide her out of the way. Officers detained Los Santos for hours while the female worker wrote a complaint up against the American before forms that were written in Arabic were brought in for the 21-year-old to sign. So whatever the officer wrote up as the complaint was in Arabic, and then they came in and forced her to sign it. She spent the last couple of months moving between different spots as she awaited for the courts to hear her case. In August, a judge ordered her to pay a fine of $10,000, and that's in AED money, and another compensatory payment, which was used to extort tourists for a secondary income. On Monday, prosecutors appealed the ruling, and Los Santos was ordered to a year in prison before Tuesday's commutation. Sterling called upon the Dubai government to forbid workers from asking for such payments, as Dubai's justice system is routinely misused to extort victims, and it's about time the U.S. State Department updates its travel warnings to reflect this common practice. Elizabeth has been left with the scars of an incomprehensibly traumatic experience. For a young student, she's lost about $50,000, and she will never be compensated back for it. Furthermore, she's been convicted on the basis of mere allegations, sentenced to a year's prison, fined, and deported. That in and of itself is a disgrace. Well, travel carefully if one is going to go to Dubai,
right? Or any country outside the United States. You know there are rules, and there's a lot of countries out there that you realize how good you have it in the United States sometimes when you travel to other countries, and you realize how much freedom you actually have in the United States, in my opinion.
Definitely.
So a Texas woman will spend the next 75 years behind bars for the sadistic torture of another young woman who lived in her home. 27-year-old Simone Junkin, who still has burn scars on her arms, testified against her abuser, 37-year-old Alicia Calderon. She was friends with Alicia before any of this happened, Farrah Junkin, the mother of the victim, said. In 2019, Junkin thought she was moving into Calderon's trailer to clean and take care of Calderon's children and disabled elderly woman in exchange for free rent. Junkin's parents say the communication drifted. For more than 2 years, however, Calderon controlled Junkin with unthinkable torture. She severely burned her arms, chest, and back by pouring pots of boiling water on her. She deprived her of food, locked her in a dog crate, and cut off her communication to the outside world. On February 1st of 2022, Junkin got a hold of a phone and sent her stepfather a message saying she was locked in a room and needed help. It was the first time in 2 years Junkin had spoke with her parents. Her stepfather went to the trailer with deputies who had to remove stacked stones away from the door in order to free her. She was down to 68 pounds. 68 pounds.
Oh, my God.
Her head was shaved, and she had second and third degree burns. I initially did not recognize her, this from Junkin's stepfather. She spent weeks in the hospital recovering from her injuries and needed multiple surgeries because of the burns. During the sentencing, prosecutors revealed she stole nearly $80,000 from the disabled elderly woman in her care. The money was going towards tattoos, tire rims, and party rentals. Prosecutors say her husband, Joseph Calderon, was also involved and is awaiting sentencing. 75 years she got, and I say she deserves every single day of it.
Hard time. I hope it's hard time. That's crazy. Evil people. Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts to spark joy, wonder, delight, and that's exactly what I wanted feeling. Hey, y'all, I ordered a super cool piece. It's a candle with a sculpture of LSU's Tiger Stadium on top of it. And each officially licensed laser cut wooden replica features up to 4 layers of detail, creating a bird's eye view of a specific football field, seating section, and more. And every label includes your stadium's name, the team's logo, and school location. And it has a coconut, soy, vegan wax infused with sandalwood smell that creates tailgates and touchdown scent profile, reminiscent of game day. It's invigorating like fresh cut grass and nostalgic like smoke from a pre-game grill, and calming like the crisp autumn air of a new semester on campus. Y'all, I love it. I have it at the base of my TV, and I'm ready to watch the Tigers play on Saturday night, right? Uncommon Goods. Look, when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. And many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches. So shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday hosts and hostess gifts to the coolest finds for kids, to hits for everyone from the book lovers to diehard sports fans. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, not the same old selections you can just find anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/RLRC. That's uncommongoods.com/RLRC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary. Hey, y'all, let me tell you about Gobble. All Gobble meal kits are pre-prepped. That means less work for you and less waste in your kitchen. Their meal kits include everything you need so you can save time at the store or just skip that trip entirely. I got the box in and I had 3 different meals. I had a Kung Pao chicken, crispy fish tacos, and a beef bourguignon, however you say it. But let me tell you about the classic beef bourguignon. Look, it came with beef pot roast and a beef broth concentrate, red wine demi-glaze, cremini mushrooms, cipollone onions, mashed potatoes, baby carrots, and rosemary thyme butter. It was so easy to make. Literally like 15 minutes it took Cindy. And let me tell you something, and all the dishes were fire, but this thing was like a taste explosion in my mouth. It's just unreal. We've got to spend more time together and more time doing the things we love because everything came in this one single box right to my door. So see what a difference Gobble will make for your household. Right now, they're offering my listeners a fantastic limited time deal. You get $120 off across 4 boxes plus free shipping and free cookies. And let me tell you, those cookies, I ate one that was sin baked and it was delicious. Go to gobble.com/real life. That's GOBBLE.com/real life for $120 off your first 4 boxes. This offer is not available on the home site, so don't miss out. This is genius. It's taste explosions in your mouth like you never had. All right. Take you to my least favorite city. Love the people, well, most of them anyway. But 4 students were among 5 people shot at Morgan State University in Baltimore on Tuesday night during homecoming week, sending the school into lockdown for over 2 hours. And now no arrests were made in the shooting on the campus of the historically black University of Maryland. Police didn't reveal whether they believe more than one shooter was involved. 4 males and 1 female between the ages of 18 and 22, all students at the college, were shot when the gunfire erupted around 9:25 p.m. Thankfully, none of the injuries are life-threatening. Morgan State University police were patrolling the campus when they heard the gunfire and called Baltimore PD for backup. The campus cops located the victims and treated them at the scene before they were rushed to area hospitals. Campus officers feared the shooter might have still been in the area and been ready to commit more violence. Baltimore PD then put out an alert around 10 p.m. warning of an active shooter situation near the campus and urged residents to shelter in place. By 11:45 p.m., police declared that there was no longer an active shooter threat, and just after 12:30 a.m., Morgan State announced the shelter-in-place order was lifted. Baltimore council members said there may have been more than one shooter. It is believed there were 3 shooters firing at the crowd, City Council member Ryan Dorsey said, but police officials were not able to confirm the number of shooters. Morgan State University had asked people to stay clear of the area surrounding its Thurgood Marshall Hall and the Murphy Fine Arts Center. It also asked concerned parents to avoid the campus area and instead to report to a nearby parking lot during the lockdown. Its students have been celebrating homecoming week ahead of the university's big game scheduled for Saturday when the bullets flew. And just hours earlier, the college hosted a coronation event to crown Mr. and Mrs. Morgan State. University President David Wilson said the event at the Murphy Fine Arts Center was almost filled to capacity as parents from across the country joined students. This was an unbelievably beautiful event this evening, and our students at the end of that were headed over to the Student Center to rejoice and to enjoy themselves when this unfortunate situation erupted on the campus, Wilson said. The traumatic shooting overshadowed the week's homecoming celebrations, and classes were canceled Wednesday with around-the-clock counseling available to students. And with those size crowds in the area, it's a miracle more people weren't shot and that nobody was killed, right?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that big an event.
Yeah, and when you're shooting that many rounds and you hit that many people, I mean, you're indiscriminately shooting. It's not like you're aiming at one person.
Right.
It's another sign of the times, people.
Do you guys remember when there were big news stories breaking when the Brat Pack guys from the Howard Stern show would call in to talk shows or news programs, and like the most famous one was them calling in during the OJ. Captain Jenks was the guy's name, and he would call in and with these fake phone calls, and then say Baba Booey at the end of it or whatever. Well, Fox was covering this story, and some Captain Jenks-like guy who's a Tucker Carlson fan gets somehow Fox believes this guy is legit. He's claiming that he's an eyeyewitness and he's on site and everything like that.
Yeah,
and I mean, he just completely makes them look like the biggest morons on the planet. And that video, well, it's really audio, is going around.
One of my favorite Baba Booey's is a PGA one of the Masters or something. The guy was on the 18th putting for the win, and right when it went to hit it, guy shouted "Baba Booey!" It was dead silent.
I mean, there was a period of time where they were everywhere, and everybody was afraid. Everybody was on the lookout for who's trying to get me. But obviously, whoever is screening callers these days at the networks are probably not as careful as they should be. Okay, well, it was a series that put Netflix on the map.
Yep, I know what it is. Making a Murder.
Making a Murder. You watched it?
I did.
You watched it?
Yep.
I watched it. I think everybody watched it.
I thought they were full of shit from the beginning.
Well, you had an advantage over most of the rest of us. You could smell a rat a lot more easily than, let's say, at least than I could. And so that series convinced a lot of people that this guy had been railroaded. And so, knowing this audience and how interested you guys are in true crime, I'm going to assume the vast majority of you also watched this series. I'm talking about Making a Murderer that debuted back in 2015. I can't believe it's been that long. The directors of Making a Murderer, Laura Ricciardi and Moira Demos, were lauded for the series. They won tons of awards, and they've made personal fortunes, and really the series helped propel Netflix into what Netflix is today. But now the directors and Netflix are being accused of, quote, ethically shady filmmaking in a new 10-episode documentary called Convicting a Murderer, which is hosted by Candace Owens. The two directors are even accused of directly telling Stephen Avery, name should be familiar as he was the guy that was accused of the murder in this case, that they believed he was framed and calling the production, quote, his movie. The series is flat out accused of being a ploy designed to free a killer. Nearly a decade after becoming an Emmy-winning sensation that helped Netflix gain their meteoric rise. Just to refresh quickly, the 2015 docuseries followed the legal fight of Stephen Avery and his nephew Brendan Dassey. They were trying to be cleared of murdering a freelance photographer named Teresa Hallback back in 2005 in Wisconsin. Owens and Convicting a Murderer director Sean Reck accused Netflix of setting out to portray Avery as a victim of corrupt law enforcement as cops investigated Hallback's murder. Avery, you'll remember, had been freed in 2003 after spending 18 years behind bars for a crime he did not commit, that they proved he did not commit. So quickly the audience was sort of brought into this on the thought that, well, this guy was wrongfully convicted once and served almost 20 years of his life. Why couldn't it happen again? DNA evidence helped prove who the actual guilty party was in that case. 2 years later, the remains of Teresa Hallback, 25 years old, from Green Bay, were found in the Avery family's auto salvage yard. Hallback had gone there to take pictures of a vehicle for a possible listing in Auto Trader magazine. She was a freelancer but did a lot of work for Auto Trader. Dassey, who was 17 at the time, claimed Manitowoc County detectives coerced him into confessing and helping his uncle Stephen Avery, who was 43 at the time, rape and kill the freelance photographer. Avery was charged with Hallback's murder a month later, but claimed the charge was intended to discredit his $36 million lawsuit against Manitowoc County for his previous wrongful conviction. So he was in the middle of suing them for $36 million from the 18 years he spent behind bars that he didn't know. Both men were convicted, prompting a series of appeals and reviews that were featured in Making a Murderer. Reck and Owens, the two behind the new Convicting a Murderer documentary, claim their investigation reveals how a senior Netflix advisor encouraged the two directors to ethically shade decisions throughout the production. We have recordings of them telling Stephen Avery that it's his movie and that they hope he gets out as a result of it. Owens said the two did not tell viewers or journalists while they promoted both seasons of the show about their belief. Quote, it wouldn't have minded, boom, Jim, quote, I wouldn't have minded if the directors on the media circuit said, hey, listen, we called this guy and told him we think he's completely not guilty, and that's the story we want to tell, she said. That honesty up front is needed. Don't pretend that you don't have a narrative or a stake in this. Netflix depicted Avery as part of a large, loving family, but downplayed its history of pedophilia and outwardly racist beliefs, and suggested he was the victim of police corruption, Owens and Wright claim. There's no question that Netflix tried to make it seem as if it was plausible that all of this was a setup against Stephen Avery conducted by the state and willing participants being police officers, again, according to Owens. It was stunned by the audacity of Netflix to present them as something else. They pretended to be agnostic, and they certainly were not agnostic, which we will show in the prison calls between Stephen Avery. It was dishonest. Owens assisted directors, and Netflix intentionally omitted key evidence linking Avery to the murder, as well as disturbing details of his animal cruelty conviction in 1981. Reck claimed that Netflix executives said he hoped the audience would understand the allegations of police prosecutorial misconduct were just a theory and not proven. Well, I don't think the audience took anything that way. They used narrative filmmaking techniques to tell a story. It was a pure advocacy piece. So I have watched the first 5 episodes of this. It's pretty compelling, and it's pretty obvious what
I tell you what,
the kind of manipulation that was going on.
Nephew is absolutely, he got railroaded, but Stephen Avery killed that girl, period. The the whole narrative that ends up being absurd, that it was over this lawsuit, et cetera. He killed her, and that they planted. I mean, it's too much for me to go into. But the nephew, that boy got railroaded.
Yeah.
You watch his interrogation tapes and everything else. I mean, like, holy shit. So y'all did this and this and this, and it was like, so that's what he did. And he said, well, he just wanted to go home. And he said, I just want to go. And he said, well, we did it like this. And they said, which was far from the truth. What it was, and he kept changing the story until they fed it to him, and he repeated it. But that other dude is a douchebag. He's right where he belongs.
Well, the documentary directors, the new documentary directors, definitely believe what you believe, Woody. So I encourage anybody who has continuing interest in the case
to I haven't seen the new
check
one.
it out. It's right now. It's only on Daily Wire Plus is the only place it's available, but they usually run something and then they release it more broadly.
Manawak, that's right there, close to my brother from another mother in Toma, Shane McBride.
All right, an armed biker is going to regret messing with he does regret messing with a Philadelphia woman's car. Big video circulating on social media shows a woman stood up to an armed biker who attacks her car after crashing it and threatening her at gunpoint. The biker appeared to be part of an illegal dirt bike and ATV rider gang. I didn't know there was ATV rider gangs, but apparently there are.
That's a big deal now.
And they're actually causing major traffic scenes in cities all over the country. Right. Drivers tend to stay out of the way of these groups, but a young woman fought back when a biker endangered her family and friend. The biker group was riding through an intersection in downtown Philadelphia on Sunday evening, filtering through traffic in a haphazard formation that puts drivers in danger of crashing with the bikers. Nikki Bullock, she was delivering for Uber Eats, accompanied by her friend and 2 children. They were in Bullock's Ford Fusion when the biker group rode by. But as she was exiting the Fusion, the biker jumped off the trunk to meet her, dropping his handgun in the process. The biker picked up the pistol and, beyond just brandishing the firearm, aims the pistol at Bullock point blank. The young woman never misses a beat and advances towards the biker. She then headbutts, the biker then headbutts Bullock, using his helmet as a weapon to harm her. Bullock just proceeds to push the biker back, and the biker seems to be at a total loss of how to react in the face of such an undaunted defense. I mean, when you see the video, he's totally confused. You can see he didn't expect that shit. Yeah. Realizing he's outmatched, the biker tries to get back on his motorcycle to rejoin the pack, but Bullock's not done with him yet. She pushes him off the bike, knocking the bike over. The biker stumbles while staring at her, gets up again, and finally manages to ride away, struggling to get back on the bike to ride away. He was so shocked. There's a video of the entire incident that we will post on it.
They can't let that guy back in the gang.
I was going to say,
no way.
And obviously they're not one percenters, but they're in every major city now. The one percenters being true outlaw gangs, right? That's what. If you ever see a 1% patch on a leather jacket, that means they don't conform by they are known outlaws. Period. Did you know that?
I know about 3%ers.
1%.
Well, 3%ers are, don't you? You know who 3%ers are. He knows. He just want to say. Oh, you really don't know?
They're an offshoot of the Coin Boys? I don't know.
Close. Actually. 3%ers are supposedly when 1776, when we became a country.
Yeah.
Only 3% stood up.
Right.
Yeah, you didn't know?
So
I'm surprised.
There's a all-female and the funny thing is, these off-road bikes that they make, they bring into the cities and do this. But there's a all-female gang in New Orleans. It's the Pinkies, I think, Pinks or something like that.
That was on Grease.
Yeah.
Pink ladies?
It ain't the pink ladies.
Well, but that's got to be like when the bad guys fire a bullet at Superman and the bullet just bounces off his chest, and they're like, "What's wrong with my gun?"
Right.
This guy headbutts with a helmet on,
Right.
and
Still got his ass kicked.
so I don't know where he can go today.
But-
I mean, he's got to be extradited from the gang.
I studied biker gangs and origins and everything. It's from the soldiers came back from World War II that had the combat experience, and they actually the original Harleys that they had in World War II and all that, and those first biker gangs. But the 1%ers are the ones, the badasses, the Hell's Angels, the Mongoloids or whomever. So you ever see the 1%? It doesn't mean they just don't abide by the laws, and they make it known of that. So let's go to Las Vegas.
Wait, what about the Banditos? You didn't,
Same thing.
You didn't include them.
1%ers. I had deals with the Banditos.
I bet you
here
did.
in Livingston
I figured.
Parish,
Yep.
in a bike shop. So, but anyway, let's go to Vegas. In a misunderstanding over giggling after a passenger on a Las Vegas bus passed gas. For you, those of you who don't know what that means, they farted. But a misunderstanding of the passenger on a Las Vegas
Woody.
bus farted.
Important clarification.
Led to a shooting. Dominic Johnson, 25, a convicted felon, was charged with attempted murder and battery, among other charges, and connected to the shooting. Police in Eudora, Arkansas, arrested Johnson. He was booked in the Clark County Detention Center. Johnson was a passenger on the RTC bus when it stopped that afternoon. Video shows a person whom police identified as Johnson standing up in the back of the bus, drawing a gun from his waistband and pointing at another passenger. Johnson then fired 4 rounds at the passenger before he ran off the bus, police said, right? The victim sustained wounds to his hand, stomach, and leg. Shortly after the shooting, police searched a nearby apartment where the witnesses saw the suspect run. Police later interviewed the shooting victim, who told them he and his girlfriend were on the bus and were laughing about a smell when he remembered hearing a loud pop. The victim told police he never spoke with Johnson, had no confrontation with him, and was flabbergasted at what could have caused Johnson to target him in such a violent manner. In surveillance video, Johnson appears to mind his own business for about 10 minutes. At one point, the victim and his girlfriend can be heard laughing about the flatulence. Again, y'all, that's farts. Johnson appears in the video looking at them while he scratched his head. Johnson appears to become more irritated at the laughing, and after several minutes, pulled the gun and fired the shots. Police later matched a prior booking photo and social media profile of Johnson, and police also served a search warrant at Johnson's home, finding a gun and ammunition and clothing. Johnson was barred from having a gun for a prior grand larceny of a firearm.
All that ever getting pissed at someone
Right,
for
somebody farted.
passing gas.
Well, was it the fart or was it the giggle?
Well, see, here's the deal. Like prisoners and shit, I mean, if you could look at them wrong and it's a sign of disrespect, I'm pretty sure if Johnson farted and they were laughing about it and he got disrespected. So he tried to kill him. Crazy.
Yeah. Hold your poop on those buses.
Right. He must have overate at one of the buffets in Vegas.
Cork it up.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's go to Florida.
Pinellas County.
No, we're in the Panhandle here.
We've done a lot of panhandle stories too.
A convicted murderer who killed 2 women he met at bars along the Florida Panhandle and was subsequently put on death row has now been executed.
Oh.
Michael Dwayne Zach III, age 54, was killed by lethal injection at 6:14 p.m. Eastern Time. On Tuesday, Zach met with his wife and his spiritual advisor. He declined the last meal that was offered to him. Does that happen often?
Often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Pretty often.
I don't want to shit it in my diaper that they put on you when they electrocute you or kill you. However they're going to do it.
Okay.
Check out Last Meal's Bloody and Gola Season 2, Episode 4.
Okay, thank you. Got that.
So Stark is a city in the seat of Bradford County, Florida. Only has a population of 5,796.
But has a big federal or state prison there.
Evidently.
He declined that last meal, and the department did not say what the meal was. Okay, I thought he would get to decide what the meal was, but
Some of again, check out the Bloody Angle episode. Some of them have. Some of them you can only have.
Some you
fresh
can only have a number
ingredients.
7 from Taco Bell.
Florida, this happened in Florida, right? Before they changed the law, you can have anything you want. You ordered like $400 worth of food and didn't eat any of it, so they're like, "Fuck you." And now they're going to change the law. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the double murderer was asked if he had any last words, to which he said, "Yes, sir." He then lifted his head to look at the witnesses and said, "I love you all." The U.S. Supreme Court on Monday denied a request to halt the execution of the death row inmate after attorneys for Zach requested a stay of execution last week. Michael Zach murdered Rayvon Smith, stabbing her using an oyster knife back in June of 1996. He was also convicted and separately sentenced to life in prison for murdering Laura Rosillo, who he met at another bar in a nearby county. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed Zach's death warrant on August 17th, but his attorneys said at trial that he should not face the death penalty because he suffered from fetal alcohol syndrome and post-traumatic stress disorder. They argued that his brain was dysfunctional and he had a mental impairment condition, which they claimed made Zach impulsive and caused him to be under constant emotional and mental distress. None of these claims held up in court, and he was sentenced. So the Florida Supreme Court and the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals also passed on stopping the execution. The execution was the 8th under DeSantis dating back to 2019 and the 6th this year after there were no executions in 2020 through 2022. DeSantis has made tougher, far more far-reaching death penalty laws an issue in his presidential campaign. I didn't know that. Haven't picked up on that. But yes, Mr. Zach is no longer with us.
Very much.
What did you say?
I was making a joke.
Was that a joke? Did you ask if DeSantis was still running for president? God, I hope he is.
Oyster knife killer, right?
I like
I get a sack of oysters for this weekend. I didn't think about that. If you eat oysters in Louisiana, eat them in the months they end in R. That's when they're the best. Y'all didn't know that? Otherwise, they get too, get too milky. You can't tell it if you get them fried, but if you shuck oysters, months that end in R.
So July, no good. September, good.
July, milky as
January, February, March, April, all of those. You're throwing out all of those. When can I eat oysters? I can't eat oysters.
October, November, December.
September, October, November, December. That's when they're the best. That's when they're fattest and the most full and the cleanest.
And February
close enough.
Right. So fill up on oysters now. But what if I buy oysters?
I'm not saying. I'm saying from Louisiana oysters. They are all the different kinds and everything. I shuck
That's
my
worth
own
exploring.
Oysters. Shuck my own oysters. I'm a connoisseur.
Connoisseur. Oyster po' boy.
Right? I mean,
I could go for one of them right now.
Get some oysters, boy.
You eat oysters, Mike?
Oh, yeah. I love oysters.
You know they're aphrodisiac.
In some households.
Very good.
Hey, ladies, are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Well, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living in our environment right now. It's in your food, your water, the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, your skincare products. They all mess with your hormones. Then there's the natural hormone changes your body goes through, premenopause, menopause. And while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you have to suffer through it. The good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore because now you have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone support and supplement. It's become a phenomenon. Women can't stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Well, my wife says it makes her feel like her own self again. And that's what women mention over and over in the reviews. And there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC for 15% off today. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC.
They stole what?
What?
That's
They
right.
steal Jim Chapman.
We got a stole what today for you, and this is a good one, y'all. A Florida man is now behind bars after he took a stolen street sweeper for a spin.
Nice.
That's right. Kevin Aponte was arrested and charged with grand theft of a motor vehicle. Believe it or not, a street sweeper is considered a motor vehicle, and the lawn care business owner told deputies his street sweeper was stolen from the shop that he operated out of. Surveillance footage from the business shows a pickup truck in the driveway and someone wearing a gray hoodie under an orange reflective vest walking around the street sweeper. The person is seen touching the street sweeper before it was taken from the property. The business owner said Aponte, 29, who was a former employee, that he believes that he actually stole that street sweeper. That's because only somebody who is trained would be able to operate this street sweeper, and he suspected that Aponte had taken the sweeper to use in his own business. He separated from this business about 6 months ago after an argument about him wanting to start his own business and taking contracts with him. Happens all the time. Aponte reportedly told in the past not to return to the business or use any equipment, but just prior to the street sweeper going missing, he called to ask if he could use the street sweeper, and he was denied. So, yeah, that's probably not the best time to actually steal it. Deputies found Aponte and the street sweeper at an intersection, and a traffic stop was initiated, and Aponte was detained. In his post-Miranda interview, Aponte said he did not have permission to use the street sweeper, but he needed it to do a job and was going to return it. He was transported, of course, to the Marion County Jail, where he posted $2,000 bond and was released.
Hey, I swim when he was in high school and had the party wagon in Cortana Mall. We were leaving whatever little bar because we were too young to drink, but they served us. And had a street sweeper out there. They had the party wagon, and one of my friends is now deceased. And another one of mine who ended up being a frat brother said, I bet you can do donuts around that sweeper. And I did it. I was harassing the shit out of them. Well, I didn't know those fuckers could run so fast. When I got done, sweeper chased me all the way out to Florida Boulevard for like 5 miles. I mean, he was keeping up, but I was in the station wagon.
Yeah.
Wait, how fast can it go?
I don't know, the fastest I could go. Yeah.
I thought those things maxed out at like.
This one didn't. They must have been a Pinellas County street
It was souped
sweeper.
up.
Yeah, Pinellas County super.
Well, there you go. Souped up street sweeper.
I want to do the super cops. An off-duty police officer is being hailed a hero after he saved a mom and a bleeding baby from a car wreck on Interstate 30 in Little Rock. Madison Carlson, who works for the Pine Bluff Police Department in Arkansas, was making his way to North Little Rock at around 9 a.m. when he noticed an unusual traffic jam. Usually, traffic on the interstate can be credited to traffic, but this time it seemed different. I saw people get out of their vehicles, and I thought this isn't normal, he said. After leaving his car to investigate, Carlson learned that there was a black vehicle turned on its side and someone saying, "There's a baby inside." So he immediately sprung into action. Carlson climbed on top of the vehicle, opened the car door, and got the mother and child out safely. However, he noticed that the baby appeared injured. He was bleeding from his head, Carlson said. There was blood coming from his face. Once the mother and the child were safely out of the car, Carlson took it upon himself to handle the congested traffic on the highway. While directing folks on the interstate, he said he held the baby in his arms and told drivers where to go. Can you imagine that? Dude, he's not in officer uniform directing you around while holding a bleeding baby.
That's crazy.
No one else was available, he said. The mom has since thanked Carlson for being her guardian angel, and due to him being at the right place at the right time, Carlson believes there's a reason he happened upon the car wreck on that very day. What's the chances of an off-duty police officer being in a spot where a police officer couldn't get to at that very moment? He said. It wasn't anything that I'm taking credit for, Carlson added. I wasn't even supposed to be there at that moment, but clearly I was supposed to be there. Mother and child are recovering well and suffered only minor injuries.
Wow. Shout out to that officer.
Carlson, nutting up.
You are a super cop.
Super cop. Super cop.
Gets a super theme. Oh, we didn't have a closing to the super cop. We just do the opening. Okay.
Just the opening for that. Yeah. We don't want to give him too much of a good thing.
I understand.
We don't want to get number one in the pop charts.
There's a lot of banjos. Today we've got banjos and fiddles in honor of Julio B.
Julio B.
Julio B.
Julio B in jail.
I knew that was coming. As soon as I said it, I was like, wait a minute.
I never heard that one.
But Julio had been in jail for a long time when he hatched a plan to escape from jail. He was originally caught piloting a seaplane with 200 kilos of cocaine from Mauritania to the Canary Islands.
Like 500 pounds.
Yeah.
Whose territory is the Canary Islands? I may get probation for this. I may be out of my jurisdiction.
That's my jurisdiction.
Yeah, but
Canary Islands?
yeah, but
That's over there.
it's a gum story, so I get it.
Yeah.
I think it's
Segment
about the
trumps.
Bahamas or something.
Segment trumps.
Okay, so anyway,
A bunch of canaries.
Tell us about who.
Julio's plan was that he was going to fly over the prison a 4-foot-long Zeppelin.
Oh, God.
And the Zeppelin, which was being remotely controlled by friends of his outside of the prison, was to drop night vision goggles and climbing equipment to him. Okay?
He must have some money.
The police said that they arrested the 3 people outside the jail who were helping to prepare the escape. The house searches on Gran Canaria Island also uncovered a tent and a telephoto lens that the gang had used to observe security details at the jail from a hill about 600 meters away. So, Julio be kind of smart in getting these details understood so that the Zeppelin could fly over at the right time. But Julio be not that smart because who's not going to spot a 5-foot Zeppelin flying over?
That's funny. But
he didn't think that far ahead.
Well, he had to have some money to pay for Zeppelin and night vision equipment and everything. A telescopic lens.
I think Julio had somebody really bad in the mix of his co-conspirators here because he had already set up. He was ready to go abroad and lay low while waiting for forged papers and continuing
Takes money.
shipments of narcotics to flow. So this guy was Julio be a boss in that group, and whoever be the guy that set up the Zeppelin. I mean, I don't know. Could you do something better than flying a
shit,
freaking Zeppelin over the
Zeppelin's got to cost more than that.
Well, he had 500 pounds of cocaine.
Yeah, money was no object.
No, that's what I'm saying.
So Julio be back in prison.
He should have done a hot air balloon or something.
Right?
Would have been. Never noticed that.
Just got
what's the plane that hovers? Harrier, right? Harrier jet.
Yeah,
he could have just got a Harrier jet.
That wouldn't allow.
Hey, Lex Luthor escaped from prison in a hot air balloon.
Well,
if you'll remember,
that's true. That dude in Pennsylvania escaped because he climbed the wall like Spider-Man.
Gene Hackman's the best Lex Luthor of all time.
I agree.
The best criminal mind of our age. Remember that?
I do. I'm trying to think. There was the younger guy in the more recent movies that played Lex Luthor. He wasn't very good.
Well, shout out to Lex Luthor.
Shout out.
Keep sure he's out
keep
there
killing
somewhere.
it.
Keep killing it.
All right, Woody Everton, any final thoughts?
rrescue.org. See something, say something. Help in human trafficking. And we're going to give y'all the date and time of Mike's egg challenge, and we'll also get the total amount and everything, and we're going to find out who to send the money to. I
think it automatically goes to them. I think it's already set up.
Okay. All right. Good. That takes the guesswork out of that then.
Okay. Well, and if it should happen and I should die that day, I want you to make sure that
Miss Sherry gets some insurance.
That Parish Forensics is alerted ASAP, and they get that autopsy done. And
great American flag.
And honey, I expect you to put me in a nice display up on a shelf in the right next to Deuce there in the living room shelves.
And we're gonna do this on site, y'all, in the middle of the swamp,
right?
So
we're trying to get some local
there was no
news.
swamp ever mentioned. Mike does
maybe
not
get
do
Karen
swamps.
to come out and cover it. Right?
No swamps.
No swamps.
All right. Until next time, I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Woody Overton.
And I'm Mike Agovino.
For Real Life, Real Crime Daily. Peace.
Aglets.